everybody. Welcome to Hamster's Hobby Hang. How you doing? Some tunage. My local hobby store gave me a free Halo Flashpoint miniature. And I grew up on Halo. I'm a big Halo fan. I became a lifelong Xbox guy over PlayStation because of Halo. Turned out Gears of War is pretty good too. But that was just here by coincidence. That's not what we're painting today. We're gonna start with this thing. Anyone have one of these? Sassoon. I told Social I'd do some weathering on it. It's mostly... I get my paper towels are hiding here. Mostly the same stuff in the weathering YouTube video, if you've seen that. But we'll get this thing painted. I've actually never painted Sassoon. It's kind of before my time at Dwarven Forge when we made that. Yeah, so we're basically gonna do like a metallic scheme. Just to get some cool weathering going on. But was anyone watching On the Anvil last night? Because I remember seeing the build in person that Nate was doing. That thing looked freaking awesome. I'm gonna get some of this too. Are you painting more Starforge tonight? Jimmy Buffett? This is royalty-free Jimmy Buffett. It does kind of sound like that, right? This is just some random I typed in royalty-free instrumental. Okay, what am I doing on this? Weathering. I think the easiest way to do this, I mean, and I'm far from the first person to do it, is just start your base coat with the weathering effect. Because then you can do just some easy dry brushing and leave it in the recesses, and it will look all like it's been collected in the recesses. You can do the reverse with like a wash, but there's just less control with that, I feel like. And you can do both. It's like start with this, use your base coat to sort of get ahead a little bit, and then you can touch it up with a wash. But I think I'm past the point. Like back in the day, I'd probably base coat and then wash exclusively, and I don't think that's. I think you can get more mileage if you do it. So what do I have here? All I did was, this is purple, but it's basically my black. So I just have like a dark red. This is rust. Okay, this is your main rust. This is maybe some more spots of heavier rust. I'm gonna throw some green into this and to sort of get that other sort of oxidization for like a bronzy. But basically, if I were to weather something, especially to start, just be 2 steps. Base coat with the weathering step, and then dry brush over it with like the main color of the thing. And then you can continue highlighting and washing to sort of finesse it, but okay, what was I gonna do here? I think we'll just do a really easy separation. And we'll do like the carapace and the jewelry as one, but the rest will just be some good old rust. You know what just occurred to me is kind of funny. This is one of the few times I'm painting Dwarvenite outside of like a painting video or something, because most of the time I'm doing prototypes which are not Dwarvenite. the pre-product prototypes are rarely Dwarvenite. Every once in a while some of them are. Now this is a little light. It's like more of a medium value, so you could like mix a little black in here if you really want, but I don't think you need to, because it's so warm, and we're going to do a metal over it, which is basically like a gray, like silver, if you think of it as gray, is on the cooler side, so there'll be a contrast that way, and it will be shimmery, so we'll get a little value contrast with even the natural reflections, so I'm just not even going to worry about it. Because I'd rather have it be impactful. Like a lot of times when I think too hard about darkening or even over highlighting, I lose in saturation, which to me is the fun part about miniatures, is getting those really poppy effects and getting them to read on the table. So we can always go back and do our deepest shadows with like a selective wash kind of, if we really need to. But that's one thing that's sort of evolved over my painting, is not to actually start with worrying about the deepest shadows, especially because I often paint up from black. So it's like, okay, make sure you leave enough of this behind. It's like, well, then I'm not happy with the saturation in the end a lot of times. Let me show you. It's kind of like... No, where's the different one? It's kind of like this guy versus this guy. See what I mean? They both look fairly rugged, and I both think they're fairly nice. But this one I started losing saturation really quickly, and this one I still have saturation, but it still has like the same character of ruggedness, like Rugged Raider. So anyway, you can always go back and do, like, basically what I've discovered in my painting is how little a figure in any typical lighting environment actually has really dark shadows. Like the darkest black shadows. Most of the areas are gonna have a second to darkest shadow. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, that's where I'm just hitting it with this base, like mid-tone. We can always darken that, but I want to make sure the saturation exists on the model and I can adjust from there, because I made a bad habit of spending a lot of time basing really dark and having to work really hard to get up from that in value. And the fun part is going to be the contrast between the weathering step and the base coat step anyway, so we want enough saturation for that to be impactful. It is a beach vibe. Beach vibes for the summer. I'll tell you what, I ain't a beach guy. I am a pale fellow. If I spend 10 minutes in the sun, I'm gonna be a tomato. But I'll tell you what, I started fishing. You can fish out here in New York City. Did you know that? Catch and release year round. So there's actually a decent lake and a park nearby here in Brooklyn. So I'll go out early before it's hot. Fish out there. And then beach time is when I'm back inside. I would go to the beach, like with friends, you know, I wouldn't. But I don't need to sit up in the sun. What's nice about doing the base coat over a wash is like right now I'm not even worried really about hitting areas that I don't want to hit or that I don't want to be this color in the end, because I know I'm just going to cover it up. So with a wash it's like, oh, I painted the whole thing and now I have to start washing it. It's like I get in my head about it a little bit with like the neatness. I just want to avoid precision for as long as possible. That should be the final step, where we can do more selective glazing more so than a wash. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here with the order of operations. Alright, so basically what I'm imagining is everything with this color is like a silver, because it will oxidize with this rust. And then the other stuff that has this blue or blue-green that we'll do is like bronzy or something like that, you know. I mean, it's fantasy. We can make it oxidize however. Like maybe some of it'll be gold, which doesn't really oxidize the same way, but we can add it just because the colors look cool. And then without even rinsing my brush, I'm going to add a little bit of the orange. Again, don't have to be neat because we're just going to cover it up, so however much of this sort of stays behind is how much we'll get. It's kind of we're kind of setting ourselves up for happy accidents, you know. And it's not even taking that long, which is fun. I'm going to do a fair amount on the heads just because it's brighter, so it will hopefully point to this focal point a little bit for us. Alright, so similarly, all I did was just take, if you have like a Bubbles Blue from Pokorny, this is pretty close. I often do it just straight Bubbles Blue, but I added a little green, almost more just to make it slightly darker. Do all this. You know what, I'm gonna add more. There we go. Kind of like a gray it down a little bit. I'm okay with it being a mid-tone, but not too. It's July-uary. Having 1 cup of hot tea. Yeah, but I'm just trying to do, for social, they wanted me to do some like weathering stuff, so I'm kind of just doing some classic like base coat step is the weathering, and then we'll just dry brush it and make it look awesome. But I love this order of operations because we don't even have to be precise. Any sort of wonky areas will just get covered up in the next steps. Just kind of fun, it takes some of the pressure off. Oh dear. That's okay, because it's like a high area anyway. It'll sort of be a highlight. And there would be variance in the oxidization anyway, so not too worried about that. And there's so much like wet paint right there, we can even just mix it right on the model, add a little green. Alright, leave that sit for just a sec. Terrain painting, almost done with scaffolding. That's awesome. Scaffolding is some of my favorite pieces we've ever made. They're so fun, so cool. Add so much character. But already this is kind of cool, right? I mean, that's why I like combining these different oxidizations, because the colors of them already look so nice together. But now we'll just kind of pull it back with the neutrals, you know, like a silvery or even a bronze. They're relatively neutral, being sort of gray and brown but metallic. So it will sort of knock this down to a nice subtle effect. And we can leave behind some greater areas of whatever. Do I even have the metallics I want? We might have to do non-metallic. Like, I don't know what I have at home right now, but... Okay, this is interesting. I have silver paint and some transparent stuff we can add to it. So that's kind of cool. I need a different palette though. I'm in that point where I kind of semi-organized some of my stuff, which means I lost it, because in the chaos I knew right where it was. One sec. Anyone else keep their paint palettes in the kitchen? Oh, I'm glad that the tips are working for scaffolding. That's right, we did a whole stream on it, right? Where there's like a nice example of some of it. Yeah, like the factory kind of came out slightly different from the prototype, not in a bad way, in an economical way, honestly. But like the impression is still the same, which is what's so cool about it. But the steps are slightly different, so you can kind of pick and choose your favorite way to paint it. As long as it's dark, musty wood, you know? This paint isn't actually great for dry brushing, but I'm gonna try my damnedest here. Oh no! I pulled the brush right off of the handle. This one might be time to retire this one, but so here we go. Look at that. You know what is kind of the thing about metallic paints is they are super transparent. To get opacity is pretty tough. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna do a gray to be our pseudo silver, and then we'll hit it with actual silver to give it the metallic impression, the shimmeriness. And it likely won't even look like the gray is not metallic, because the highest points will be shimmery. That's my hope anyway. So just for opacity, I'm gonna dry brush this thing matte. Because we want the thing to look rusty, but we don't want it to look orange, right? We don't want it to look like an orange thing. We want it to be a thing that's silver, that's rusted. So that's the fun thing about painting with metallics, is like they don't have to be all metallics. It's not like out of the bottle one paint. You can wash metallics, you can paint with different values of metallics and do the same highlighting that you would do on anything else that's non-metallic. Or even, like in this case, paint with a non-metallic matte paint and still have it be metallic in the end. That's what I'm going for here. Right now I just want to use this step to basically pick how much of the weathering I'm leaving behind. And then the final step with the silver will kind of highlight and also just give the illusion of the metallic nature of this section. Make sure it reads as a metal. But the reason I switched this right away is like trying to get the opacity you want over the base coat of the weathering effect, it would just kind of be a headache with metallic paint because it's so transparent. And the reason is the thing that makes it look metallic. And that's like mica flakes, which are the shimmery, they're physical flakes mixed in with a pigment that give it the shimmer, which is what we want. But that makes it less opaque because they're physically larger than pigment on its own. So it's like literally you can't spread it, like it's physically spreading out too far apart between mica flakes. That's why it looks more transparent. So especially because white is fairly opaque. You know, I mixed black and white here for the gray. So especially with the titanium white involved, it will be fairly opaque. And we can quickly, like, basically this is like an extra step, right? But think of it as this step plus a single metallic step will take less time than how many layers of metallic paint it would take to do this. It's the same reason why I added the optional step with the star forged catwalks and pipes. There's like that dark brown before the bronzy silver, and it's for that same reason. It's because like if you're starting really dark from like a black prime or like a dungeon gray cast, it's just gonna take more layers than it's worth to make it look opaque and like metal. So that's why I did a single matte step on all the prototypes and the factory scheme for the catwalks. It's the same philosophy here. See, so here's another reason I do the base coat first instead of like washing later. I had this whole green blue that I only wanted the other sections, and now in this step we just cover it up. Not even worry about precision, because right now is when we're cleaning it all back up. And even like dry brushing this, yeah, I'm covering some of the green blue, but like we're covering that also later with the base coat we use for that, or like the local color, the second step coat. So I don't even really mind that I'm covering some of the blue-green with this. Again, avoiding precision for as long as possible is my goal. This also provides some texture, some scratchiness. See, already look how nice the variation on the rust is on this, just with the two steps. Hey, listen, sometimes you gotta grant yourself a lazy day. The real light bulb for me on scaffolding is that all this light zigzaggy is happening along the boards instead of across them, very unlike other DIY brushing. Yeah, there's some interesting finesse to them. And like, you know, they look fine if you do your regular old dry brushing, but that little bit of variation, anytime you can add variation for yourself, it's worth it. It's just extra mileage out of the same step. Like, we're dry brushing everything, right? We all know how to do it. But if you can just add that little bit of attention for variation like that, it really gives you a lot of mileage. So now that we've done that, I'm gonna do a similar matte step on the other sections. Just like a brown. It'll be like a brass or a gold or something. I'll just throw some brown on it. Because there's kind of a way to like cheat with metallics where as long as you kind of hit the edges and part of it, the really quick sort of dry brushy step with metallics, it's gonna kind of read to the viewer like the whole section is metallic, right? So this is where I'm maybe being more precise, where I'm deciding how much of the weathering effect is left behind. And I'm not doing that with the metallic paint because getting the opacity to do so is just a headache. So this is where I'm kind of mapping out how much of the weathering I want to leave behind, and then we can sort of play with the metallic highlights to make sure it's reading as a metal. But we're not doing both at the same time. Just because it's almost counterintuitively, it's like less efficient to do it that way. Adding the extra step is actually more efficient, at least for the way I paint. Like maybe for the eyes we'll even leave quite a bit of it so that they're a focal point. Okay, back to some metallic now that we have our matte steps done. Just to make it look. See, look at this lake. You can't tell me this whole thing doesn't look metallic now just by having it shimmer that much, right? So we can kind of get away with murder here by just doing a light metallic highlight. The whole thing will look metal, right? Whereas if we were to just do the metallic paint, we kind of saw it right off the bat when I tried it. It would leave too much of our bold, weathering, semi-saturated base coats to the point where it wouldn't look like the main color is silver, it would look like the main color is the orange. Like, just because there would be too much area left behind in the orange base. So I maybe give this a try on anything you want to paint metallic, even without a weathering step. Just like do your black base. We all know with a black base plus a dry brush with metallic looks awesome, right? But try to hit your light section, like your upper mid to highlight section, with like a matte gray, like a mid gray. And then just highlight with the metallic and see what that does for you. So this is kind of cool. It looks like almost an animated construct of Sassoon. Make sure that sharpened edge is really shiny. Can be less shiny on the flat where there's a lot of the rust. Still get some nice stipply texture. Hey, what's up, Wargaming Recon? Welcome on in. Yeah, been a while. All right. Now, in my mind, I might disagree, but I think you only need a silver paint for all my, just for the metallic properties. I've been having a lot of fun lately. I rarely use metallics anymore, but I've been having more fun just like mixing my own metallics if I need a different color. Just because, like, you know, if you have contrast paints or any sort of inky metallic or an inky kind of transparent color, just throw them into these, and then you can have any color metal you want, as opposed to just using the tube, you know? Like, look at that. Now we have a bronze. Isn't that cool? Even for like my gaming armies and stuff, I've been doing that. See, this is the same metallic as I used on the silver. Just threw a transparent paint on. This is like the same thing as a contrast paint, basically. You know, they're also slightly glossy, so it will help it won't hurt the metallic effect at all. So I wouldn't put like a matte, regular hobby paint in it, but pink or contrast. But see, look, we did this to brown for the opacity over the metal, and a really quick metallic sheen makes the whole thing just look slightly metal. He doesn't even look like there's matte paint on it. Trust me, it'd take a lot more work with a metallic straight over it to give it that look. That sort of completed opacity, you know? leave behind less of the metal than these other parts, just to make the eyes stand out. Maybe for the glint, I'll go back to straight silver. This is pretty much taking colors that we've used already, this sort of dark red, brown, rusty base, and then a gray on top for the base, but just not hitting with metallic. Give us a nice little dungeon floor sort of thing. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this palette, get a new towel. Good night. Yes, happy 4th to you as well. Have a great holiday. Okay. The heck is this thing? I think it was a pack of like cultists or something. Need some of my primaries. I really do want to paint this. Maybe we'll do it on the next stream or something. I was super pumped they were coming out with Halo Spartan minis, but I don't need another game. You know what I mean? Especially like a board gamey thing. So when my LGS gave this to me, I was like, oh, that's perfect. All I want is to paint one of them. It was funny too because I was just playing Warhammer and just one of the guys that I see around there a lot was like, "Here you go." I'm like, "What's this?" He's like, "Open it up." Just came up casually. It was funny. I don't know if anyone here has played the Flashpoint game. I'm sure it's a perfectly fine game. But I just have too many games going on in my inventory that I probably will never play even at this point. But I regularly play Age of Sigmar. I'm getting into Malediction. I played that demo. They were right next to us at Adepticon. Oh man, that game's cool. It's basically playing Magic the Gathering with skirmish miniatures. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, and so the thing about when like I saw on their sign it was like skirmish card game, I was like, okay, my worry was, is this going to feel like it should just be either a card game or a miniatures game, right? But it didn't feel that way. Like, basically, there are just cards and effects that the ranges depend on your where your miniatures are placed and their positions relative to each other. So they really hit that point of like, this needs to have all those elements instead of just, this could just be a card game or a minis game. But yeah, I haven't really spent a lot of time doing the solo RPG stuff. I mean, I've gotten a lot of cool systems. I think they're called Nord Games or something, release an app that I think is mostly intended for 5e, but it's like randomly generating items and monsters and stuff. They're gonna release all kinds of modules, but I went in on like the lifetime. It's like a subscription thing, but it's like a lifetime get every module forever type thing. So I'm looking forward to testing that out for that purpose of. I mostly did Morkborg. I did that a few times, which was fun. I really want to try Pirate Borg. But any kind of like rules light system, I'm open to trying. But yeah, it's mostly time. I mean, I'm still regularly playing D&D with my group. I regularly play AOS, at least in the monthly tournament. Usually 1 or 2 casual games a month. So, like, I'm doing plenty of gaming, so I haven't really felt the need to do solo stuff. But I got this really cool game from a Kickstarter called Mappa Mundi, and it's basically low combat. Like, it's like an ecology game where, think like Monster Hunter, but you're only trying to get close to the monsters to learn more about them. Like, you're a scientist, basically. You're like a researcher. So the goal is to, like, similar to Monster Hunter, maybe is to like learn how to bait the monsters and like get in their area and not disturb them so you can get close and all that, but for the purposes of learning more about their behaviors and their tendencies. And it's like fully no combat. And there's also like cool travel mechanics and stuff. Yeah, super unique. And it's just fun to have the different like monsters and creatures and the bestiary in the back to look at. Like, that's the main thing I've done. I haven't even played the game, I just like look at all the cool creatures. My non-board gaming stuff has been hibernating since October, yeah. But, you know, I have all these minis on my desk from hobby hang and stuff, and I think basically when it came down to like what am I looking for in my like solo RPG stuff, I think it mostly ended up being skirmish wargaming. Like, just a quick scenario, you have a goal, you get a cool war band together, or a cast of characters, or even a party of like PCs that I'm all playing, and like playing it out on the tabletop. But what's kind of unique is I've learned what's getting me excited enough in my tiny apartment is just like cardboard terrain. It'd be fun, obviously, if it was 3D, but for storage purposes and stuff, I just got a bunch of card 2D terrain on like a 2x2 little battle mat. And for any height needs, I'll just pick a side and say that's how tall it is. So like if there's a building that's like a rectangle, if it's a short building, pick the short side, that's how tall it is if you have to climb up it. Or if it's a tall building, just pick the long side, and that's like how tall it is. So that's been kind of fun. But I still, sometimes I don't want to play like practical, like on the table with Morkborg and stuff. It was so much of the just going through Theater of the Mind. Oh, one, what's that book called? I got this really cool book that's specifically co-op and solo called Substratum Protocol. Similarly low combat and science-y, but you're basically trying to get to the core of the Earth. But it's almost like a Cthulhian otherworldly presence that's down there. It's like this entity that's causing these like weird events further up to the surface of the Earth. And so like you're basically, your sort of goals are uncovering one sort of piece of information each level of the core, or each like layer of the Earth. But as you get closer, you're getting more and more like insane. It's kind of like the sanity meter in Call of Cthulhu or something. And sometimes you might encounter danger and you can choose to fight or to run. But what's cool is like basically you roll to uncover a fact about this anomaly. But how you do it is if you succeed, the player decides what it is, which is kind of neat. So it could be based on hints from what's happened, or hints in some kind of image, or hints in some kind of... But like when you succeed, you're like, okay, I'm saying what I learned is the anomaly is this. And that becomes a canon part of it. And then basically, if you do survive to the core of the Earth, the more pieces of information that you've successfully like uncovered, the more likely you are to basically beat the boss, which is to like not go fully insane as you stare into the depths. and you can actually come out and like deliver your discoveries. But you also have an exosuit that has different abilities and stuff you can use. So there's that resource management of like powering your exosuit, and your classes are like what kind of scientist you are, which will affect your abilities and stuff like that. So that's called Substratum Protocol. Really small book, but really cool vibe and art and stuff. Love that thing. And I got this other Kickstarter that's more, it's not even like its own game, it's more like a setting to put into other games. What the hell is that? It's called the Down Crawl. And it's basically, if you were in whatever RPG you want to do a similar like down crawl vertical cave, like digging deeper and deeper, and it's kind of like a card based, think of like a Betrayal House on the Hill kind of, where it's like, oh, if you're looking for this type of factor, pull from the deck, and it builds into that. So I want to combine those two, the Substratum Protocol and this down crawl, and see what comes up. I haven't done it yet, but that's on my list. Yeah, and actually, if you like sort of co-op world building, my DM and one of my best friends, they made a whole series, and I think they're going to make even more, of just world building. Like, the idea is the players play these basically dice table games to build the world before they start a campaign. And so they're involved in it, so they have some familiarity. So even if their characters don't know certain things, when they pop up, they'll be like, oh, I remember that. So it's called, the first one is called Deity of Dice. So it's about creating the pantheon. It's about creating deities. And so, for instance, you'll roll for domains. What domain does your god have? You pick a name. What domain does your god have? And everyone will go around, and there'll sort of be events in like the mythology. So they'll be like, oh, you were like slain by a mortal, but maybe someone else rolled, I have a mortal follower who's I'm trying to raise to demigod. And so when they roll those on the table, they're like, oh, maybe your guy is the one who slayed me, my god. And so it collaboratively builds like the mythology, which is really fun. And then as the events, you're basically creating a map. So there's just like blobs on a piece of paper, and each time there's events, or you pick like domains or cults and stuff, you place them on the map, and then you have a physical map of like the land. And then you start a campaign with that as your background. So the other one is like Empire of Dice, which is like the human civilizations that have developed, and and then fiends of dice. So it started with deities of dice and fiends of dice, which is the gods and the devils, like the anti-gods, right? The evil gods, similarly. And then empires, like the human civilization. Sometimes there's cults. Sometimes there's cities. Yeah, let me send you the itch. They're really cool. I've played them many times. We gotta find the... Oh, here we go. Okay, so it looks like on the... I think Empire's still in development, but Deity and Fiends. Oh, and on Deity of Dice, the cover art, it's Laser with a Z. I'm gonna link it. The cover art on Deity, I'm not sure about the other one. Maybe it's him, but Tyler did that. Tyler from Dwarven Forge. Yeah, super cool to try. And they don't take very long. You spend like an hour or two. You go as long as you want. Like, the point is to, like, you're rolling on the tables, but, like, let it take off however it takes off, right? And it's super fun. It's like a session 0. You know, it's so fun to play games in the world that you create because, you know, everyone has a familiarity with it. So it's like everything is an Easter egg, kind of, without even trying. Oh, it is Laser Wizard with an S. I swear they have some account that I remember where it was with a Z, but anyway, there it is. Okay. Oh, I haven't even heard of that. But that always sucks when there's like a cool product and they just turn out to be like terrible people. Hi, Amy. Welcome, welcome. Coming off of my candle. Yeah. Oh no, what happened to your eye? Before you jumped in, I actually did a quick, like, weathered Sassoon. It's kind of neat. I imagine this is like some kind of animated construct or statue of Sassoon or something, so we did that. Kind of cool. Now I'm just doing a random little cultist I had on my desk for a while. Yeah, it kind of does. It's almost like a backward paint scheme. Alright, fine. You don't want to stay on the stand. I get it. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I haven't done a whole lot of non-metallic gold, so I'm kind of going back and forth on it. We'll get there. I'm starting to sort of figure it out. Bad. I'd like to practice it more, but it's cool. I mean, I like it. I'd play it on the table. pulls back yellow. Alright, let's try that. Yeah, it's kind of nice this way. Yeah, my dog Dolly's always taking my spot when I get up. Yeah, this is just a... I just searched royalty-free instrumental. It's kind of nice. Yeah. Just picking up whatever's nearby to defend the village. In this case, thankfully, there was some golden armor nearby. And a hammer that looks like it's for just DIY fix-it jobs. But kind of a cool scheme. Fun gold, maybe too fancy for this character, but I still like how it pops against the rest of the scheme, so I like it. It's fun to paint. And of course we did our soup. Just kinda neat. Yeah, it works next to this armor smith. Oh no, the king's commission. Well, we have urgent need of it right now. Let's see. What's next week? The 10th? Yeah, I think next week I'll be doing the stream. So thank y'all for hanging out with me and chatting. Oh, the Sassoul is basically, you can think of it as like a rusty metal statue that's been animated, so Most of it is silver, base coated in like a rusty red. So it's base coat rusty red, dry brush of silver. And then there's some brassy, bronzy sections that were base coated in like a blue-green oxidization color and then dry brushed with a brassy color. That's it. Just to make it look weathered in 2 steps. Just kind of fun. Yeah. Yeah, thank you all very much. This was a fun one, and I will see you next week, and have a great evening.